Welcome to the first revamped episode of Tomahawk Sports Talk. My name is Blake Overbeck.
I'm Matthew Soul.
And I'm Brandon Eisen.
We're going to bring you all the news and updates about Fort Osage sports. Starting off with footballs.
Yeah, kick it off with
35-0 win versus Belton.
Yeah, I think that was big. You know, coming back from the 8-36 loss against Kearney. Braden, you got anything to say about that?
Yeah, I mean, that was just like a tough loss. You know, when you coming into a stadium, first week especially, that's always a tough experience losing that first game. But it's more important that we gotta put that aside. That's a different class, different district opponent. So it's important that we can just put that to the side, that we can still look forward and be like, oh, we still have so much left in the season for this to show, you know?
Yeah, I think it really, with Belton, showed the difference in skill, like, immediately in the game. You could see it on the line. You could see it, like, even when they weren't dominating on the line, like, Jonathan Ross rolled out for a 35-yard touchdown pass, and Nick Penniman really set the tone for the game. And I think they carried it out through the whole game. I mean, 0 points, defense did their part, you know?
Yeah, I mean, when you look at the stats, the key part is 447 yards to, 150 for Belton, especially pounding that rock, like 282 rushing yards.
Yeah, Trey Smith really brought it together with his rushing.
Him and Amari combined, I feel like they proved that they can be a 1-2 combo, especially with Nico coming back next week. I feel like Fort Osage's run attack is very dangerous.
So, Braden, coming from a football player, what can you take from this win into the next game?
Well, we can take that we can't be complacent from beating Belton. I think, hey, we beat them, now we got to move on. Of course, everyone knows who Fort Osage plays next week.
Platte County, 2-0, reigning state champs.
16 straight wins.
So, last year, score was 13-28. That was a pretty notorious game for you guys. But this year, lots of maturity throughout the team, you know. A lot of defensive players came back and new defensive players. So, personally, I think defense holds their ground. Offense scores a couple points. I think y'all could come out with a win.
I personally think it's about limiting the big play.
That's what I was getting at there with the DBs and safeties.
Yeah,
really improved from last year.
I feel like all four of those guys were started on defense last year as a DB. So I think it's important to have that type of leadership in your defenders, because even if they do make mistakes, which is inevitable on a Friday night, then they'll be able to keep their head up and continue to keep on going. That's a difference between, say, a young defense like we were sophomore year against Platte County in the first game, whenever Mauricio's first year compared to 3 years against the same offense. He's more keen to knowing what happens. Same with Braxton and Sean playing 2 years against them.
All right, moving on from football, we got boys soccer off to a good start, 2-1. Destroyed Chrisman at home the other night.
It was away, but yeah.
Oh, was it away?
Yeah.
Oh, my bad.
That's all good.
And then we got Platte County, what's that, Thursday?
Well, it'd be today, but when this episode comes out, it'd be yesterday.
So, Chrisman game, goals all around. We got Blake Overbeck, 2 goals, player of the match at midfielder. And then we got Nick Cornejo with 2 goals. Andrew Ayala with the goal. Finn Snowden with the goal. Juju Morales with the goal. And Victor Stevie with the goal. So, you know, passing the rock all around. And same with assists. Got anything to say about that game, Blake?
I just think it was a great start to conference play because for me, I play on the team and I just know the whole team. Beating a rivalry like Chrisman, it always brings some momentum to your team, and we can take it into a tougher game against Platte County. But I think it's a great win. It's a great start, especially after our heartbreaker last week against North Kansas City.
Yeah.
After getting an early red card, I just think that's a perfect way to bounce back, because we easily could have folded and just, went into a ball, and Chrisman could have easily beat us if we would have done that. But we just showed so much heart and just came back and won that game.
And I believe that the key for soccer is that we saw it last year, is a strong defense, that even if we're missing one of our best defenders, that we can still rally up and keep a zero on the scoreboard. I think that's very important, especially with the keeper we have, even though he's really, really good from what I've heard, is that if you can keep any keeper out of situations, that's perfect. If you can keep the ball away from the penalty box, that's key.
Yeah.
Yeah, so obviously last year, you go 1-1 against Platt last year with a tough win and a tough loss.
Yep.
So what do you think, I'm curious, as a soccer player, what's the difference from last year to this year that you guys, can make to secure that win?
So the first game we played against them, we came out flat and it was probably our worst game all year, and they beat us 4-2 at home. And we knew coming in, and it was early in the season too, but still, we should have came out ready to play. But then when we played them later in the season, we were much more defensively sound in that game. We worked together, and we won 1-0 just by playing really solid defense. And, of course, Beck Snowden scoring for us like he did 1,000 times last year. But I think if we just play as a team and play together, I think we can. There's no reason why we can't win.
I think adding on to your take about Beck, I think one of the key stories Coach Hinckley and the rest of the soccer team has to find is when you're losing such a key player like Beck that contributes to what percent of goals would you say?
It was 40 to 50% last year of our goals were him.
Yeah. When you have someone that takes that much key production away from your team and you lose them, it's very difficult to replace them. And I feel like for the Sage Soccer, they don't have another Beck Snowden, someone that's going to contribute for 50% of goals. But they have multiple players that will be able to fill that production. It's sort of like whenever the Rams lost Aaron Donald, you know what I mean? Because you can't replace an Aaron Donald instantly at least. But what you can do is you can have multiple players kind of replicate that production.
Yeah, when you can tell just based off the score sheet he read. Last year, if you looked at a score sheet, it was Beck 5 goals, Beck 3 goals. And this year, or against Crispin, it was me with 2, Nick with 2, and then you had Andrew Ayala, Finn, Juju, Victor. They was just spread out. So, and that's how we're going to win is we got to find multiple people that can score because we just don't have one guy this year.
So moving on, we got softball off to a tough start to start the season, 2-6. So far this season, they've averaged 2.9 runs per game and 3.6 runs allowed per game. So, off to a tough start to start the season after they had a decent season last year, but did they lose first round of districts last year? I think to Green Valley.
Yeah, I feel like they lost to Green Valley last year, which Green Valley is always good.
Yeah, they're really good. So far, their latest game they lost 0-3 to Belton.
Actually, they played yesterday and they beat St. Joe Central 9-4.
I didn't know see that.
And I feel like that's a pretty key win.
Yeah, St. Joe being 1-1, so not an awful team to beat. They play Smith Cotton today, as this episode airs, and they play Chrisman Friday. Smith Cotton, that looks like a tough opponent. That'd be a key win to get the momentum back this season. And then Chrisman, Chrisman's always a team that you just beat down on to get some confidence back in players. I feel like.
Well, it's always good to beat Crispin too.
Yeah,
the 24 highway rivalry.
On the bump against Belton, we had Keeley Forum and Harper Allen, and they pretty much shut Belton down most of the game, with just a couple runs here and there, only 2 earned, and I think that's the story for most of the season to just get runs on the board. Lots of. I know the softball team is missing players and lots of seniors that left, but I think that is going to be the story for the softball team. Is if they can get runs on the board, they're gonna be some good teams.
Yeah. Also, Belton's pitcher dominated too. 7 innings, 1 hit, only 3 walks, 7 Ks, and 112 pitches. So she was very dominant. And obviously, I know as a baseball player, when high school softball and baseball is all about pitching.
Definitely.
Whereas like last year, we had 3 hits against Belton in the first game, and then we spread them in the second game. It's just all high school baseball and softball is just about pitching.
And I think, yeah, definitely dominance on the mound. With, if you're getting a strikeout every inning, you're most likely gonna win the game. Just looking at the box score of the Indians lineup, it's just strikeouts, and you don't see many walks. Walks is one of the biggest things when it comes to softball or baseball, free bases.
Yeah, you don't want to give up free bases.
Not at all. So, Yeah, I think if the Indians can just get that offense together, they'll have a bright season. Get that turn that 2-6 around.
3-6.
3-6 now, yeah.
Oh, girls tennis started their season off with a win on Monday against Grandview, where they beat them 8-1. And then yesterday they took on Excelsior Springs and lost 7-2. But a 1-1 start to the season's not bad. And then they have Green Valley coming up, and then Chrisman, Platte County, Ruskin, Truman. So a lot of conference matchups coming up. So if they can scratch out a few wins here and there, I think they'll have a successful season too.
Yeah. And then girls golf won back-to-back city champs yesterday. That's a big news for them.
Yeah, big news in the school, girls golf.
For Wednesdays with Wilson, legend Coach Wilson.
Yeah. Girls golf coaching legend, Coach Wilson.
Volleyball last night, which I believe was senior night, beat Chrisman 3-0. That's 3 games in a row. They're on a 3-1 winning. They're on a 3-game winning streak. They're 3-1 on the season. I mean, when you come into such momentum with so much dominance in a season, you got to feel great about yourself. And of course, today, as we're recording this, or tomorrow, or the day this is airing.
Yeah, it's airing on Thursday.
Yeah, they have a big game against Ruskin, which I'm sure they'll dominate again. And if they can carry that momentum as a 4-1 team going into what I assume is a big tournament at Grand Valley Spike Fest against teams like St. Pius, Odessa, Ray-Pec, Pleasant Hill, Grand Valley, and Belton, that can be a very, very big momentum factor that they can carry in. I mean, this is a team with a lot of experience. Wouldn't you guys say so?
Yeah.
What do they got, like 6 seniors? What do they got, like 6 seniors on their team? You know, experience is a big thing also when it comes to high school sports. Like, having that experience and leadership just makes the difference.
Also, did you notice, Braden, looking at the schedule, none of their games have gone more than 3 sets either.
Yeah.
They haven't played a 4 or 5 set match yet.
Yeah, the first one too.
So you gotta think, like, when it's different from like a game or like a practice where you can condition for so long. Like that first game where you're in for the entire length of the game, for especially like a sport like volleyball, which I know is very physical. Not physical, like bumping, you know.
Yeah, but it's a different kind of physical.
Yeah.
Like you're diving the entire time,
Yeah.
getting scratched up, all that type of stuff.
Yeah. When you face something, you do that for like 5 sets, which they will face against tougher teams, you know. Then we'll see how they'll play against that. But for now, if they can keep dominating and never see a fifth set, then I'm sure they'll be fine.
Yeah. No, I think they'll be good too, especially with a good start. If they can carry it into the rest of their season, I think they're gonna be very successful.
I know a big thing, like baseball, at least the season in like the middle of the season feels long. But then obviously once you get over it felt short. But like there's a lot of like mental fatigue that goes into a high school season. And when you're playing those short sets and you're dominating, like it flies. You know what I mean? Like you don't feel that mental fatigue when you're winning. So I think if they keep that, they're gonna have a good end of the season.
Yeah. Thank you for tuning in to Tomahawk Sports Talk. Stay tuned for episode 2 next week. I'm Blake Overbeck.
I'm Matthew Soul.
And I'm Brandon Aston.
And we'll see you next week.